Hey guys, welcome back to the Bad Dating Podcast. My name is Michael James. I know bad dating, so let's talk about it. So, is texting making you bad at dating? That's what we're talking about in today's episode. But before we begin, please take the time to like and subscribe. It really helps to boost the algorithms. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube video. That's where we're at on all those things, especially if you can follow and watch the video on YouTube as well. I'm just trying to make sure I can get to 500 subs over there. So, is texting making you bad at dating? That's what we're talking about. So, let's jump into it. So, here are the pros of texting. Texting has really helped dating in some degrees, and you have to be able to fully admit that. So, the pros of texting are the same thing for dating as for anything else. It allows you to do a lot. Let's say you're working and you're texting someone and you want to see if you can, hey, we're supposed to meet at 5:30. I'm here till 5:30. So maybe we can push it back till 6. And you can just send that text message. And then while they're busy, they can take the time to respond. So that ability to multitask and handle other tasks is key. I've been able to use that as just for work, for everything. That is key. So there are some benefits to texting. Then let's say, just improving the ability to communicate on a regular basis. To be able to talk at various points of the day is nice. And to be able to just know that someone's thinking about you. Sometimes maybe you're busy, maybe you're already in the middle of something and someone just says a good morning or makes that sort of effort. That can be beneficial because it helps express interest. And especially if you just had to rely solely on talking on the phone, maybe that doesn't work. Maybe they get up at 6, you get up a little bit later, you're at work, they're at work. So the times may not work when you're just calling. So texting allows for a lot of things and that multitasking. So those are some of the things that texting has been beneficial for. But is texting making you bad at dating? I think yes. And so that's why there's probably gonna be a little bit more effort and time spent on that, just because unfortunately there's been some negative side effects that we don't even think about. So I'm just making sure to look at my notes here. So first, one of the big ones, too much communication. That's something that people don't necessarily think about until it happens or happens enough. Sometimes you can overly communicate, especially because texting is one-sided. So a lot of people get very confident when they're alone by themselves. And that's what you are when you're texting or wherever you're doing it. It's easy to say things and be a little bit more emotionally detached. So what that allows for people to do is they will say too much or too much personal, or they'll just continue. And sometimes you will spend too much time texting and not as much time talking in person. And some people feel real comfortable sending a text message, sending essays, making jokes, being inappropriate and doing all this other stuff. And then when they get in person, they shut down and they don't know how to handle it. So that's a big reason why it's like, I've seen that. I've seen people story time. I dated someone who would love to text too much. And then they would say things and then, all right, cool. Hey, things are getting a little bit heated or things are getting a little bit tense. Hey, let's take a break, just because of this. And they'd acknowledge. And then 2 seconds later, but then they're throwing more stuff in and they're throwing more stuff in and they won't go. And I'm just like, oh my God, you get Twitter fingers. You start saying nonsense, you start whatever, you can't even walk away. And eventually they start like realizing like, yeah, I need to be able to do this. And unfortunately, that's what's caused me to have to block them. It's just because for them, being able to stop the conversation isn't on their choosing. Is like, hey, things are getting, we can agree things are getting tense. Hey, let's be able to take a break. Maybe if we talk about this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow, or a different time, maybe things will go better. All right, cool. 5 minutes later, but I want to say this, but I want to say that. And it just keeps going and going. And that's the problem with too much communication. It's very easy to do when there's that emotional disconnect. I mean, and some people don't realize it. And that's why it's very easier in person to communicate because you get to see the other person's what they're feeling, they get to have to hear them in real time. You have to see them, and you can like maybe calm down and maybe you won't be as bold. And that leads into the next thing. Texting, you do not get to see the nonverbal indicators that let you know what someone's thinking, what someone's feeling, and those sorts of things. So they say communication's like 80 or 90% nonverbal communication, and it becomes very much true because how do you know if someone's joking or not? You can sometimes infer it. Sometimes if they put LOL, JK, you know they're joking, or you're just guessing. And especially when it comes to dating and you're just talking to someone for that first time, or you just transition from the dating app to texting, or even on the dating app, you're inferring your opinion as to, was this a joke? Was that a joke? What are all the jokes? I don't know. And you just go with it. And that can be the problem, is you don't know. And so you're putting your own tone or your own opinion to what they're saying. And you're missing so much information. Like, hey, to see someone start smiling when you're talking and like, cause they're really resonating with what you're saying, or just that back and forth flow that can come from like, oh, well, they're opening up. They like, you're seeing all these things that like let you think that you're interested in someone, and you get none of that with texting. And so you just kind of have to like guess or assume and go back based off a past experience, but you're kind of missing it. And I've seen people, and I've been in fights, unfortunately, where people only are fighting because they are making whatever I said very negative, when it's just like, oh, hey, there's no tone. They're like, well, you're being like, I feel you're being this way, or I feel you're being rude. And it's like, whoa, didn't mean that. And I've definitely seen that where people misread the tone. So something that can be sarcastic or facetious might not translate well via text, because if the person doesn't read it that way, or whatever their background is influences their comedy and what they think is funny and how they take things. And so I've seen people take things as such a negative, and that's the only way that they tend to take things, is like, it just is a negative. If you tell them no, oh my God, you said no, so that means this, or how are things supposed to work if, and just like they get into that doom mindset, because in their head, whatever tone they're applying is not the greatest. And so they're missing all these little nonverbal cues and all these little indicators, which could help someone like reaffirm like, hey, this person is interested. This person is feeling me. Or they said no, but like their concern look on their face. Like for me, I can be very flat in texting when it comes to, hey, I'll make jokes but it's like a flat, facetious, semi-sarcastic tone. I had someone tell me, hey, well, I think you were serious with whatever you just said. And I was like, you thought when I was saying LOL and then making faces or using GIFs that I was serious? So, and in their head, they were completely justified in saying that like, well, you were serious with this. And I was like, I don't know how to highlight I was not serious more, besides just saying I am not serious, and then as a robot, and then proceeding to say what I said. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm like very much pushed up against, hey, instead of just texting all the time, let's spend time together. Especially like, let's not get into the habit of only texting, especially early on. You should go from apps and texting to meeting as quick as possible in a safe manner, just because there's no replacing actual in-person communication. And with that, besides lacking the tone, sometimes people have unrealistic expectations when it comes to what they think about the person should be doing, or how they should respond, or when they should respond. Some people, it's very easy to text, especially now that text messages has read notices, or if maybe you're being left on red, where it's just like, hey, this person didn't respond. Well, how hard is it to respond and just say that I'm busy, or just answer my question? Or people get into these like these urgent situations that they 100% feel is justified, even if they're a little bit more unrealistic, where it's just like, hey, I'm at work, so I can text until something comes up, which sounds reasonable. But if something comes up, that might not necessarily mean, oh, I can say, hey, something has come up, I will be busy. And that can also mean, oh, I may be busy till the end of the day or till whenever. And then also, not everyone uses their phone and thinks of text messaging as the same thing. Some people, if they don't respond, they will look at it, and then if they don't immediately respond, then they forgot. Oh my God, someone forgets a text message? Yeah, because texting is supposed to be out of convenience. So you can become bad at dating because you kind of lose track of, oh, this is just out of convenience. Oh, this allows me to send the directions to, hey, where we're supposed to meet. Where's the date? What time? Just want to confirm. Can we make little changes? Oh, hey, what's your favorite? Like these sorts of things can be easily done via text messages. But if you spend too much time focusing on text messages, you might lose that connection and lose the ability to to actually invest. I've seen some people who like really put too much stock on texting versus trying to make the effort to communicate. I mean, I literally just had that where someone had said like, hey, I don't really feel a connection. And I was just like, well, yeah, because remember when you went on your trip and we just met on apps and we haven't met. And so we haven't really talked in a couple months. And then I was trying to meet so we can do this. You thought there was going to be a connection from just texting. Like realistically, I would never think that I'm going to have a real connection with anyone just based on some text, because that in person is like, it can add a dynamic. Yes, I have had sparks where it's just like, oh wow, this person's giving me like positive energy, so I'm looking forward to meeting them. Like for me, my ex, I was like, oh damn, we're connecting. Hey, you know what? Let's skip this. Let's go to POEs, because like I'm already feeling that sort of energy from her. That's not everyone, and like not everyone's good at text messaging, and like sometimes people are just bad, and also other things in life are going on. The priority should not be text messaging. If you're a parent, if you have a job, if you're doing other things, cool, text messaging can and should be the lowest priority when it comes to what you're doing with yourself and your day and your life. And people forget that. Some people have nothing else going on in terms of like their goals or what they feel are important. So they become bad at dating because they're like, oh, well, I like this person. So, and then they can make justifications as to, well, this person needs to respond, or I don't like what this person said. And like, they kind of detach themselves from like, wow, well, we don't really have these problems in person. It's just like only via text messages where they act a certain way, feel a certain way. And like that's where the problems are. So I encourage people, don't let text messaging ruin your ability to be a good dater. Like that can make you a very bad dater if you spend all of your time focused on texting and what you get out of a text message versus in person. Especially if we live in the same city, if we live in the same county, I'm not going to spend too much time texting anymore. I'm going to be like, oh, hey, cool. Hey, so when are you free? And that I say that so that person can tell me when they're free, so I don't have to play that guessing game. And then I can say, hey, so you're free on Friday. Cool. Let's go out on Friday. Are you free at 6? And I can make all these plans and stuff. But sometimes people get into such like, texting can definitely ruin dating. And some people will go back and they treat the text history like a transcript, where it's just like that they're reading in court and they're trying to Perry Mason someone, where they're just like, but you said this. It's just like, yeah, I know. And they're looking for a reason to either to take offense, or they're just like spend too much time reviewing. Like I've definitely had that where people just jump back to like, okay, cool, we're in person, and they want to just review and kind of go over text messages. I'm just like, cool, we're in person, we're out, and you want to talk about the thing that was said a week ago. That's not even like a big deal, but just like, oh, but you said that you had a dog. So what's your dog's name? And okay, but when you said that you had a dog, I think you said that you had a girl dog, but you're telling me it's a boy dog, and they get lost in the sauce where it's just like they're focused on the wrong things. Yes, text messaging can be great, but if I have someone who is in person and in front of me, that's all I care about, way more than, oh, we can text message. I even had someone tell me that because I couldn't text message them all day, oh, this wasn't going to work out. And I was like, cool. I mean, if that's how you feel, but like, that's not, I don't think that's how you, like, I wasn't looking for a relationship where it was like, I was going to text message someone all day. I was like, hey, if you're willing to see me when you're free and when I'm free, oh man, that's dope. That's a relationship. And then, yeah, we can text message more. But if we haven't even gone on a date and you're telling me that like, oh, it's not going to work out because you're not going to endlessly text message me before we've even met, like that's a problem. So please, it's very easy to let texting become the default and let texting ruin you as a dater. Don't let it happen. Like, why? What's your goal? If your goal is to meet someone, spend time with someone, connect, be in a relationship, and be actually physically together in that relationship for dating, for marriage, for whatever your goal is, why are you going to get lost on steps that like really don't matter? Like, I mean, people do that for online dating where they make online dating become some weird hybrid where they make a bunch of million extra steps. Apparently there's even a statistic where more people are like 60 or 70% are doing the equivalent of cyber stalking on people thanks to like online dating versus like that's a bad thing because, oh yeah, I'm just looking up versus, oh, it's cyber stalking behavior. So please, it's very easy to let the technology, which are tools to help, override and become your primary source of like how you choose to operate, how you carry yourself, how you communicate, but that will make you a bad dater. Like, trust me, I would rather spend 5 minutes to go drive someone to talk to them for 5 minutes than spend 3 hours text messaging someone and then end up getting in a fight or a disagreement because like that's the stupidest thing. And like, trust me, it happens so much, but you guys have to be able to talk in person. And I've seen someone who is just like, yes, we fight so much on text message, and then they calm down and they get more understanding in person. It's just like, yeah, it's like I'm talking to two different people. And unfortunately, some people do that too. Some people aren't even good at text messaging, so they pass the phone off to someone else. But please do not become a bad dater because you're spending too much time on text messages. Well, yeah. So that was this episode. Hopefully, tell me, I want to know, have you had this sort of issue where you have had texting become the primary method and then you realize like, man, texting, we're fighting, or texting, there are problems. I mean, in person, it's great, but texting is where the issues are. If you have, please let me know. I mean, slide over to YouTube or even on TikTok or Instagram. You can DM me or respond in the comments. I'm just trying to make sure to kind of take a poll and find out what's going on in the community, because it can't just be me who's bad dating, because unfortunately a lot of people are single. But until the next episode, I will be seeing you.